The truth, which descended like a thunderbolt into the darkness of the past, has now begun to shine before everyone's eyes. They have tried to portray you as an ordinary human being. They have plotted about your birth. They have lied among themselves to hide your true identity and the sacred heritage you carry. But behold, their false veil no longer holds. Everyone now feels in their bones what is hidden behind the veil of secrecy that hovers over you. For years, they kept silent, silencing those who spoke. But you have the seal of God on you. Now the veil is lifted, and the light of truth resonates in every eye that looks at you without flinching. It is such a revelation that every word falls like a stone and proclaims who you are to all corners of the earth. Those lies are no longer valid. Write 555 in the comments now, because the truth has found its way and revealed you as the chosen one. Like a great oak rooted deep in holy soil, you stand unwavering when the fiercest gales of betrayal howl around you. You're not merely surviving the smear, they're the tinder to your fire, and God's refining flame only makes your testimony burn brighter. Every whispered promise turned to ash in their hands was a link in the chain meant to bind you, and tonight those broken links will scatter like dust in a beam of dawn light. You're the stormbreaker, called from birth to shatter the silent scheme of the wicked. In the hush before the tempest, they wove lies in the dark, soft murmurs of doubt and gossip-laced daggers aimed at your reputation. But you, blessed vessel, have weathered their covert currents. Now when you lift your voice, the floodgates of truth will open, and a tidal wave of revelation will wash their hiding places clean. Watch as their cloaks of deceit unravel. Their hidden agendas, once stitched tight with malice, will fall apart in full view. Those who thrived on your silence will cower beneath the weight of their own guilt. You won't have to chase them down or roar in accusation. The power of your integrity is enough to make their falsehoods disintegrate like frost under the morning sun. Imagine a river reversing course, guiding every false witness back to the source of their own making. That's what happens when you speak up. The very words they twisted into weapons against you rebound with redemptive force. Your declaration of faith, seasoned with grace, will redirect office policies toward fairness, mend hard-pressed family ties with the balm of mercy, and rekindle vision in every pew and pulpit that once doubted your call. You aren't here to clap back or play their game of getting even. No, you're here to bless back, to sow seeds of healing where they tried to cast stones. Your testimony isn't just a rebuttal, it's a blueprint for rebuilding. Your credibility, forged in the fire of unjust trials, now serves as a megaphone for justice. When you speak, hearts soften. When you act, barriers crumble. Think of a shepherd calling his scattered flock home. In every boardroom and living room and sanctuary where brokenness lingered, your words will become the melody that leads people out of confusion and into clarity. Corrupt rules will bow before your righteousness. Church visions will adjust their sails by the wind of your anointed insight. Home walls will echo laughter again because your forgiveness creates space for genuine restoration. Make no mistake, the power you wield isn't derived from human vindication, but from divine endorsement. The same voice that stilled the seas now steadies your heartbeat. When you step forward, you carry the legacy of countless faithful ones, a lineage of covenant keepers who refuse to stay silent in the face of injustice. So, raise your hands, chosen vessel. Let the flood of truth pour forth. Let every crafted whisper and every manipulated screenshot dissolve under the radiance of your unwavering spirit. You're the stormbreaker, the voice that turns darkness into daylight. And as the final act of this grand drama unfolds, remember, you've been called not merely to survive the smear, but to script a new chapter, one written in power, grace, and the unstoppable love of God. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the Super Thank You button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom, for you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. Like the first light of dawn, peeling back the cloak of night, your spirit cuts through every layer of deception, revealing truth in its purest form. You're the prism that fractures their polished lies into raw shards of reality. Behind closed doors, they murmured their poison, hoping to cloak you in doubt, but your unwavering glow forced the shadows to retreat. Every rumor they spun, every half-truth they polished, will splinter under your radiance. Their fanciful fiction laid bare in stark, unvarnished clarity. Where they sought to undermine you with whispered barbs and veiled insinuations, your presence transformed the atmosphere. Boardrooms once heavy with gossip now feel the weight lift as your integrity settles in like a warm breeze. Family gatherings once fractured by suspicion will find new rhythms of unity when your words of mercy and kindness flow like soothing balm. Even the steeples of the local church, once echoing with uncertainty, will ring with renewed vision when your testimony, carved from the fires of trial, takes its rightful place at the pulpit. In hushed corners, they catalogued every stumble, your hesitant pause, your moment of self-doubt, only to amplify these missteps into evidence of some hidden flaw. But you refused their tragic script. You stood firm, anchored in a higher purpose. Now, as their warped carnival of mirrors collapses, the only reflection left standing is the one God painted on your heart before time began. Your voice, tempered by grace, seasoned by perseverance, will reshape policies in cold conference rooms, breathe reconciliation into wounded families, and ignite fresh fire in the pews of the weary. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. So let your testimony ring out, not in bitterness, but in bold proclamation of what stands unshaken. Speak with the authority that comes from having walked through flames and emerged untouched. Offer mercy to those who faltered, knowing that their brokenness once mirrored your own. Lead with a heart forged in humility and a voice amplified by unbreakable faith. In every room you enter, let the air shift from tension to expectancy, for you carry the promise of restoration in your words. This moment isn't about revenge, it's about redemption. God kept you through the furnace of their schemes to show the world that no smear can stain what He has inscribed on your soul. As you step forward, consider it an invitation to rewrite the story, one of healing where there was hurt, of hope where there was despair, and of truth shining bright enough to guide an entire generation out of darkness and into the full, unhidden glory for which they were created. Picture a seasoned captain guiding a ship through churning seas, compass steady even as the storm howls and lightning splits the sky. That's the quiet strength you carried in every shadowed hallway, the inner signal that kept pointing true north when every external sign said to turn back. Every sudden chill, every odd glance, every knot in your spirit. These were the bells of spiritual warning, not fear, but holy discernment, sounding in your soul. Even as you pressed onward, building victories brick by brick, there were those who huddled in the dark, gathering your triumphs as if they were thunderclouds to rain on your parade. But you never lost your direction, even when the ground beneath you rumbled with uncertainty. Your path was marked not just by survival, but by an unwavering trust that the one who called you had already mapped the destination. Now, beloved, the very evidence they hoarded, screenshots manipulated, conversations twisted, rumors sown like seeds in barren soil, has become a harvest of truth. What was meant to entangle you in a web of deceit is being rewoven into a tapestry that proclaims your innocence, your authenticity, your God-given purpose. And just like that captain emerging from the storm with the whole ship intact, you step out into the clearing with your integrity shining like a lighthouse, guiding others to safe harbor. This is not just about enduring the accusation. It's about emerging as a beacon, the living proof that God uses even betrayal as the wind to fill your sails. Where others tried to mark your story with suspicion, your steady course becomes the testimony that sets captives free. The compass in your spirit, undaunted by trembling earth or hostile glares, is the witness that heaven itself is charting your course, straight into the bright, open waters of destiny. So keep your hand on the wheel, chosen one. Let your truth be your anchor and your vision the guiding star. Every plot against you has only confirmed what God already ordained. You were never lost. You were always leading. And now your story becomes the map for those still searching for the shoreline in the storm. Picture a bridge built out of matchsticks trying to carry the weight of a freight train. Sooner or later, every shaky excuse splinters under the force of real truth. That's how it is when hearts plot in secret, using jealousy as glue to hold their make-believe world together. But the minute the spotlight of integrity shines, all their careful scaffolding gives way, and the only thing left standing is the strength that was always in you. You're not just the last pillar holding up the roof. They discover you were the bedrock they tried to pretend wasn't there. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the Super Thank You button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. You become the gentle but unstoppable rain that washes away every line they drew in shifting sand. While others scrambled to rewrite the story, claiming your blessings as curses and your triumphs as some kind of personal affront, you quietly outlasted their storm, turning every slight into fertile ground for new growth. Their narrative was a chain of shadows cast on the wall. One honest word from you, and the sun comes up, erasing every distortion with the warmth of authenticity. It's as if they tried to fence you in with words, building borders from gossip and sly suggestions. But your purpose moves like the river, finding a way, reshaping the land, blessing what tried to contain it. The story they spun about you wasn't strong enough to hold water, much less dam the flow of what heaven released through you. And when the floodwaters of truth rise, all that's left of their bitterness is the memory of a drought. Beloved, don't even waste your breath sweeping up the broken matchsticks. The foundation that can't be shaken is already under your feet. The whole world can see it now. Your strength didn't come from fighting shadows, but from standing in the daylight, unafraid, fully known, chosen for such a time as this. That's the difference. When your roots reach deeper than their fear, storms pass, and the oak remains, waving in the breeze as a witness to what endures. You're the living testimony that no lie can outlast the truth written in your spirit by the author of every sunrise. And just like that, every campaign built on what you never did falls silent, because what God plants in you, no accusation can uproot. And that, beloved, is how the chosen rewrite the ending, standing tall while every flimsy structure collapses, living proof that nothing fabricated by malice can withstand the real, enduring power of a heart aligned with the highest call. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Think of a theater just before the curtains rise, darkness holding its breath, every shadow clinging to the velvet folds. Then suddenly, a single beam of light slices through, unmasking every figure moving in secret. That's you, heaven's spotlight, positioned right where the darkness thought it could hide the longest. With every step, your illumination sweeps across the stage of their schemes, making invisible strings and secret hands visible to all. Before long, the program will flip, and the names behind the rumors, the ones who pulled levers in secret, will be called to stand in that holy light. It's like being a lighthouse on a foggy coast, guiding lost ships, but also exposing the pirates trying to sneak in undercover. The closer they get, the clearer their intentions become, and they can't outrun the truth. Your presence shines. That radiance isn't just there for your vindication. It's a warning bell, a holy siren announcing, the real is here, and every mask must come off. All those acquaintances who once played both sides, the so-called friends who delivered messages behind closed doors, they're about to have the glare of divine exposure laid upon them. Not out of spite, but because what's built in the dark cannot survive the dawn. Every plan mapped out in secrecy, every alliance stitched with half-truths is being unraveled by the clarity you bring. It's not about revenge, it's about restoration. Your very existence acts as the master key that unlocks every hidden room. People will realize who was pushing the shadows and who was simply following, pulled along by the gravity of your spiritual force. This isn't just a spotlight, it's a sunrise, and with it, every shadow loses its grip. That's the authority God put in you, chosen one, and that's the beginning of the reckoning. Just like a tree planted by the riverside transforms storms into deep roots, your journey has turned every hidden attack into the very foundation of your elevation. While others flung pebbles of gossip and brewed up their secret potions in dim-lit corners, you stood steady, drawing your strength from something deeper, unshaken by the shadows moving behind your back. Instead of confronting you head-on, where your faith would only blaze brighter, they tried to sow weeds of doubt, scattering whispers and rumors in every room you entered. Their schemes thrived on secrecy, hoping to catch you off guard, waiting for a misstep they could parade as proof of your flaws. But every seed they planted to trip you up was ground down beneath your steadfast walk. You turned every sideways glance, every covert accusation, every "did you hear?" into fertilizer for your breakthrough. Their online surveillance, the way they hovered over your social posts, hoping for a crack, each attempt fizzled because you didn't build your reputation on shifting sand. You built it on rock. What they called weakness, God called strategy. What they tried to frame as failure, the heavens declared as pruning for greater fruit. Their plans crumbled. Their words lost steam because you kept showing up with a spirit that couldn't be bought or broken. You became living proof that when you're chosen, even the poison meant to harm you can become the cure that grows you stronger. And so, as the world watched for you to fall, you rose. Every slight, every plot, every lie was turned inside out by a faith that refused to quit. Like an alchemist working at the table of life, you converted disappointment into gold and betrayal into testimony. What the enemy thought would bury you became the soil for a harvest too big to hide. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed, and let the light of the Lord guide your path. Beloved, you are more than a survivor of their strategies. You are the sunrise after a night of plotting, the evidence that nothing forged against a chosen one can prosper. So let the world wonder. Let the schemes collapse. You keep walking in the light, turning every shadow into a platform for your next victory, every closed door into a new window for blessing, every attack into another rung on your ladder to the heights God has reserved for you. Imagine an old train switchman at the crossroads of midnight, holding the single lantern that reroutes the whole line. While the world expects you to follow their track, one path marked by judgment, the other by silence, you're the one flipping the switch. You're not just redirecting your own story, you're changing the entire course for those who come after you. That's what it means to be chosen in this season, beloved. You're not hemmed in by their verdicts or limited by their categories. You're writing your testimony in bold ink on pages nobody else can erase. Every attempt to confine you in those tiny boxes, whether they called you too much or not enough, has fallen apart like wet paper in a rainstorm. Just as a river cuts new channels after a flood, your presence opens up possibilities where others only saw dead ends. Each false accusation hurled at you is now nothing more than debris in the wake of your progress. It's not just about clearing your name, it's about laying down a path for others who never fit the mold either. People who once stared at your reflection through cracked mirrors will now be drawn to your genuine light, craving the authenticity that sets you apart. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. You're living proof that divine purpose isn't bound by anyone's opinion. Like a beacon standing tall on the hill, you call the wanderers home, not because you're trying to prove anything to the doubters, but because you're settled in the identity given to you by something higher than public consensus. There's a quiet authority in your words and actions, a radiance that flows not from self-justification, but from spiritual alignment. When the carnival barker tries to shout you down, he'll find the tent empty, because the crowd has moved on to hear what real truth sounds like. Beloved, your impact isn't measured by applause or the absence of criticism. It's measured by the changes you bring. Policies shifting in workplaces just because your integrity is uncompromising. Families finding peace again because your words speak healing. Whole communities rediscovering direction because your vision carries the weight of tested experience. This is what happens when a chosen one picks up the pen and drafts a new narrative, not just for themselves, but for everyone watching who dares to believe their story can change too. Picture a scribe in the old city, etching every letter deep into tablets of stone while the marketplace bustles outside and storms rage above. The winds howl, the crowd shifts, but that script endures. It weathers every season, outlasts every rumor. That's the power at work in you now. You are not a temporary footnote. You are the main storyline heaven's been waiting to reveal. While others waste their energy shouting in passing storms, you are steady, chisel in hand, inscribing truth into the very bedrock of tomorrow. No matter how many false verdicts echo down empty corridors, they fade into silence, swept away by the certainty of your calling. The time for explanations is over. The world's fractured looking glasses and erased drafts have no say in what happens next. You are the permanent record, the living testimony, the answer that generations pleaded for in hushed prayers when all seemed lost. And it's not just survival, beloved. This is a coronation. Where others scribbled in pencil, you bring the ink that can't be washed away. Heaven's lamp burns in your window now. It's not the world's approval that cements your value. It's the mark God pressed into your spirit before you ever drew a breath. The curtain rises on a new act, and your presence alone rewrites every old limitation. Think of yourself as the builder laying cornerstone after cornerstone. Others might have tossed aside your name, but you are the keystone, the irreplaceable answer to a mystery the world could never solve on its own. Your words, your kindness, your unwavering stance are the handwriting of God moving across the pages of history in broad daylight. Imagine the old town crier standing in the village square at sunrise, ringing a bell and announcing news that will change the course of every life in earshot. That's what it feels like when you step forward now. Each word you speak echoes down corridors of time, rewriting futures with every syllable. Beloved, the page is in your hands, the ink flows from your heart, and the book of your journey is being written in letters the world can never erase. This is no ordinary chapter. The pages you're writing now can't be washed away by storm or scorched by rumor. There are no erasers in the hand of destiny, and no critic can reach into the archives of heaven to pull out a single promise God has penned about you. What you author is stamped on eternity itself, a record not just for today, but for every tomorrow. You see, the doubters may gather in the shadows, and the naysayers may sharpen their words, but their pencils break before they can even sketch a line across the truth. The divine author handed you the pen, and every stroke you make is charged with the ink of faith, saturated with the oil of enduring love. This isn't a story of vengeance, it's the story of vindication and victory, scribed by hands that know what it's like to turn ashes into beauty. Now, the crowd that once whispered behind your back finds themselves sitting in the audience as your story is read aloud from the rooftops. The storms that threaten to blot out your testimony are nothing but passing clouds on a sunrise morning, because what God writes, no tempest can wash away. Even if the wind howls or the rain falls, the letters remain bright, shining for generations yet to be born. There's a reason your narrative stands when others falter. It's not written in pencil, easily rubbed away by critics, but engraved in stone by the hand of purpose. Your heaven's scribe now, chosen to record a testament of resilience and hope that generations will draw strength from. Each line, each declaration of love, each bold proclamation of faith sets a pattern that will ripple through families, communities, and entire nations. Every scar has become a footnote to your glory, every setback a margin for grace. Where others see the end, you pen a new beginning. Where some would settle for a period, you write a comma, an invitation for the next chapter to unfold. Even when the world tries to close the book, you find a way to keep the story going, because your faith doesn't give out and your love doesn't grow cold. Let those who doubted watch and wonder as you rise to your calling. The promises made over you will not return void. This book, written by your hand and heaven's guidance, will outlast every critic and survive every storm. You are more than a survivor. You are the scribe who records the victories of the chosen, the chronicler of destiny, and the living proof that love outlasts the ages.